This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there, Steph Curry. I'm going to welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, May 7th, in 1994, a legendary event happened in the NBA playoffs. It had never happened before in the 1-8 conference seeding. To have an NBA team come back to win against the number one seed. So number 8 did not go beat number 1 at any time. So, since 1984, when the playoffs were expanded to 16 teams, no 8 team had beaten one team, but it happened. So, anyway, the 94 NBA Finals saw no Celtics and no Lakers in the playoffs. And, the Celtics Lakers were two of the NBA's greatest franchises. So, the Celtics missed the playoffs for the first time in 15 years, and the Lakers missed the playoffs for the first time in 18 years at that point. It's amazing. This was the first time ever that they both missed the playoffs, Celtics and Lakers, in the same year. By 2014, it will happen again. And it was the first time that the LA NBA teams, the Lakers and Clippers, didn't have either team in the playoffs. Well, obviously, the Lakers. These playoffs would be the first series victory for the Pacers in their NBA existence after they swept the Orlando Magic, who were finally making their first playoff appearance. Indiana were close to the NBA Finals, but they lost to the Knicks, even being up 3-2. The Bulls, despite MJ's retirement before the 93-94 season, actually went to the conference semis and lost to the Knicks. The Knicks would actually play 25 playoff games, one short of the maximum of that time, because the first round was best of 5, and then the other 3 rounds were best of 7. So basically, they had to go through 26 games. And I believe that it was in the first round that they had the least game for the 4 out of 5, and then it was because they beat the Bulls in 7, they beat the Pacers in 7, and then they beat the Rockets. They lost to the Rockets in 7. The 2005 Pistons tied that mark, but broken by the 2008 Celtics because of the fact that, now you had 28 potential playoff games. The Knicks beat the Nets in 4 games and then went through 3 Game 7s in a row. The funny thing is that New York was denied the NBA and NHL titles in the same year, which is rare. I don't think that's ever happened before. But anyway, it was amazing. All that. There were some stadiums that actually had said goodbye and all that. Bulls Cavs Game 3 was the last time that Cleveland played at the Richfield Coliseum before moving to Gant Arena. The Bulls Knicks series Game 6 was the last time Chicago Stadium hosted a game. That would be the Bulls Stadium before they moved to the United Center. And Nuggets Sonics was the last to play at Seattle Coliseum until they got renovations and be named Key Arena a couple years later. The Sonics would have to play at the Tacoma Dome in the 95 season. However, there was an incident between the Jazz and the Rockets in the Western Finals. The Jazz timekeeper didn't start the clock and looking for an open shot. And people were complaining. The Rockets people were complaining. However, it actually wasn't terrible because the Jazz didn't even score. So Houston got lucky, in a sense. So, of course, Houston took care of Portland, Phoenix, and Utah and the Knicks to win the title. But the first round was the big moment. Number 1 seed, Seattle gets number 8, Denver. Seattle won comfortably by double digits in both games 1 and 2. Then it was off to the McNichols Sports Arena. Denver looked like they were going to get creamed. However, a 15-point lead after the first quarter made it stood as Denver beat Seattle in Game 3. Game 4, the Nuggets had to come back from a little bit of a deficit to force overtime against Seattle. However, they beat the Sonics in overtime 12-3. So basically, the Nuggets were there. Game 5 would be huge. Denver had used 9 players. Seattle had used 9 themselves. Seattle had John Kemp, who was massive for the Rain Man. Kendall Gill, who was pretty good until he went to the Nets. Detlef Schrempf before he was a Pacer. Gary Payton, the glove. Michael Cage, I guess the veteran center. And then the reserves were Sam Perkins, who came off several appearances in the finals for the LA Lakers, and was Michael Jordan's college teammate. Nate McMillan, who was a Seattle icon. Vince Askew, and Ricky Pierce. Meanwhile, Denver had 9 guys. Dikembe Mutombo, the star center from Georgetown, who basically was a star for Denver before going to Atlanta. Brian Stiff, Stith, okay. Reggie Williams, don't know who he is. LaFonso Ellis, decent power forward, and Muhammad Abdul Rauf, aka Chris Jackson, an LSU superstar who actually made the cover of Sports Illustrated for a time being. The reserves were Robert Pack, decent guy, Bison Daly, who I believe played for the Pistons in the 1990 season, Ronnie Rogers, a star from Wake Forest a few years ago, and Tom Hammonds. I don't think that's the commentator, but anyhow, the Denver Nuggets were up against it in Seattle. Seattle knew that they had home court. They were the best team in the NBA that year. But weird things happened, and the Denver Nuggets, in overtime, shocked Seattle to win the game, to go on to the second round of the playoffs. Seattle was stunned. Seattle did make the playoffs. Did make the finals 2 years later, but unfortunately, Michael Jordan was back, and that's when the Bulls beat them. Denver actually was down 3-0 in the conference semis against the Utah Jazz, but came back to force it Game 7, which was weird enough. However, they lost Game 7. Yeah, I know it's a little tainted because, 1 versus 8 is a best of 5, not a best of 7. You have to win 3 instead of 4. 2003, the NBA finally changed that and made it a best of 7 all throughout the town, if you will. So, yeah, that was huge. However, an 8 seed would take down the 1 seed in the NBA a couple more times. 99, when the Knicks took down Miami with Allen Houston's running shot with 0.8 seconds left. Memphis taking down San Antonio in 2011. The Sixers taking down the Bulls in 2012 because Derrick Rose got injured and Philly just had the momentum. I feel like there's one or... Oh, yeah, in 2007, Golden State taking care of Dallas, who were the defending Western finalists. So, yeah, that was amazing. But, yeah, Denver can't be denied. I know the Nuggets team has never been to an NBA Finals and all that, but they'll get there one day. But not Jamal Murray this year because of his injury. Yuck. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Now do.